You're sitting there as a high school, almost college student wondering, what the heck am I going to do in the future? That is something personally that I have been dealing with all the time. Of course, I have dreams of video creation, the exact thing that I'm doing right here between me and you. But if there was a job outside of that, what exactly would that be? With that being said, I love working. For some reason, most jobs I've done in my life, I feel like I can do for such a long time. Is that really true? No, I don't think I could be a food runner for my entire life. But there's ways that I found to enjoy everything. Whether it's been a photographer, even a food runner, or an install guy, there are joys that have come out through each job. And I never know why I can like it so much. That is what I'm going to try to answer using my anthropological project field side study thingy that I spent a lot of time at. So here are the questions. Why the hell do I like working? And how will that help me find the right job? Before that, I should probably give an overview of what my APFST was. I actually got to observe a good friend of mine, Ed Allett, who works as a fire subcode official for the township of Hillsborough. When I first asked him about working with him, I assumed that we would be going to a fire department or maybe working with fire marshals. But when he gave me the address that actually had where I was going to be going, the municipal building was the last place that I thought I was going to go to. With that being said, the first time I walked in, I didn't really have any expectations since I thought I was going to be in a fire building. The first thing that I really noticed were the offices. Walking in, you could instantly tell what type of workplace they were in. Organized chaos is the best descriptor I can use after being there myself. Many ongoing projects and things that just had to get done by the end of the day. On my first day with him, we traveled to many different field sites, and they consisted of apartment buildings, and you could have probably guessed more apartment buildings. Of course, later on, this wasn't everywhere that he worked. We traveled to a farm building that was actually a church that was using the church wrongfully since it was a farm building and not up to code. We traveled to a doggy hotel that was being built, which I've never heard of before, and many more different places. The field sites were interesting and enjoyable to be at, and definitely had aspects that contribute to my overall question. The office itself is where I spent another bulk of my time as I was writing most of my field notes. There are about 9 to 10 people that I spent most of my time around. 4 to 5 technical assistants, and about 5 subcode officials. Don't ask me for names besides Ed, that's not really what I'm good with. I can just show you a picture of the list of names of people. There's also the construction official, which I definitely cannot forget, whose picture on the website kinda looks like a mugshot. And if you're watching this, I will retake the picture for you. You have to update it. It kinda scares me. And if you're working with the people of the town, I'd assume you want like a kind of fun picture to come get permits at the construction office. I can take that picture for you, of course. I can do that. Me and you connected. Lock in, me and you, John Fielder. These titles and different power structures don't really mean much in the office. Of course, everybody has their jobs and has to abide by them, and of course there's a construction official who is the boss of all of them. But they all work together to get things done and completed at the end of the day. The knowledge between everyone is really vast, and it's a constant learning space. Ed has talked my head out with many different knowledgeable things that he has. The collective brain space also allows for a lot of fun to be had in this space as well. Ed himself is a goofball and knows how to enjoy himself in any situation, but they can all joke with each other. I remember sitting and listening to them joke about technical stuff that never really made any sense to me. Since this is a job that is really about working for the people, I noticed different things that I related to in both of the jobs that I've also worked in. In the restaurant business, dealing with people and joking about it is something that we do often. People asking and wanting things to be done that we literally cannot do, but somehow it is still the workers' problem. A lot of people think that since they are workers for the government / the town, that automatically makes them the rule makers. Nope, they just enforce it, that's all. They can do and think something is dumb themselves, but that doesn't change the fact that they are workers and not the rule makers themselves. They really cannot do anything about it, and I wish people would understand and think about that more before coming in and complaining. Sorry for that rant. I just vicariously complain through their job as a worker myself. This is pretty much what summed up each day of observing the workspace with Ed. Of course, there are many more specific stories and aspects that happened on the job, and if you're curious about that, I filmed a podcast with Ed where he talks about his job and many other different things, and my field notes have a lot of stories, so if you want that to share, I can put that in the description, or I can share it with you specifically, and yeah. But right now, we are here to answer the question, why do I like working and how will it help me find a job? After intensive sessions of thinking, I came up with a few reasons that are linked to each other. I like doing things for people. I like being around coworkers that make the space enjoyable. And I'm really intrigued by many new ways of information. Ed's job is a direct service to people. Of course, you could see it as a boring job by making sure things are up to code and standard or being built properly. But there's always a need of service to be done. Ed has talked to me about how at the end of the day, he is just trying to see and make sure that people are being safe by being a fire subcode official. He sees the benefit of the work that he is doing and has to take measures to prevent fires and make sure fires are being held in captive. He gets to conversate with people that he is working with and build good relationships. One that I loved him talking about is with the lady that owns a Chinese food restaurant really close to the municipal building. He saw her one time at the library and had to tell him that she wouldn't be open since she is going back home. Of course, Ed is confused because she lives in Hillsborough. But later on, she does explain that she is going back home to China. All of the subhood officials love her as she is seen as one of the nicest ladies in town. Of course, that doesn't exactly relate to his work, but he is a worker of the town, so he ends up being a town figure and a person to confide in the town. His coworkers all have this equal sense of authority and respect for each other, as I've mentioned before. Being able to work well with each other and also have fun in a workspace is something that is so important to me, and I'm sure many other people when it comes to working. His job is much more tight-knit, which allows for people to work well with each other. It is not that many people. It is not a 20, 30, 40 person workspace. It is about 10 people working closely with each other. There aren't people coming in and out of his job because this job is experience-based. It needs about 10 years of experience to become a fire subcode official, and to become a technical assistant, I don't really know, but I assume it has to be a lot because these people know a lot. I love seeing how many personal connections and conversations that happen between the assistants. And of course, with the subcode official goofballs, they just like to joke with each other. Ed told me about how during COVID, they were needed in the office, so they ended up working with plexiglass in between each other. He would trace Abraham Lincoln's face onto the plexiglass in the shape of the coworker that he's working next to, and then ask him to look at him or to ask him for something. And when the person looks over, Abe Lincoln is literally being reincarnated right in front of him, and it kills Ed every single time. To be honest with you, with the amount of stories Ed has told me, the amount of time that he spent with me, and the amount of time that he has fun with his coworkers on a day-to-day basis, I continue to wonder how anything ever gets done with him. But for some reason, he's been there for about 10 years, so he must be getting his work done, or they just love him so much as the workspace comedian that they keep him around. There's new information always being represented in this job. To really explain that, there's an example on the podcast that I filmed with Ed that he actually ends up talking about. The number one takeaway that I had from being here is that it's just so much
technical.
Yeah, so many technical things that you have to know.
And fire's an odd one. I have a little bit of an everybody's business. I have review oversight with building, electric, and plumbing on things, which is kind of neat because I get to really expand my horizons a little bit, do things. I think I was telling you before, I sat on a national committee, and there's a big push to take some refrigeration things out. I gotta tell you, I knew nothing about refrigeration. So I really had to sit down and like self-teach myself about ammonia refrigerants. And I really didn't know anything about them. And I knew what ammonia is, I know it's dangerous, I know it burns, but I wasn't quite sure how it made things cool.
Yeah.
So to actually do a dive into that was interesting for me, just kind of learning a new thing and to make sure I was making the right decision while I sat on this committee.
With that being said, let's finally answer this question. Would it help me find a job? I mean, yes and no. Yes, being in the terms that, of course, this will help me find a job. I mean, there's a lot of different places that have this ideal that you can learn more information constantly. You can be good with people, make good relationships. You can be in good service and have great coworkers. But at the same time, like I said, there are so many jobs with it. Of course, I feel like I would enjoy so many different jobs and so many different types of things. But my friend Jake really said it best when I was talking to him. He told me that you can probably find a job that you'll enjoy for a week all over the place. But it is very difficult to find something that you enjoy doing for the rest of your life. And what this real anthropological thing that I'm trying to figure out in these questions I'm trying to answer really just confirmed my one belief. that I really enjoy video creation. And video creation is this vast thing that allows me to be able to do these three things that I want to do. I'm able to be of service to people by making content that is informational or just entertainment based. I'm able to have good coworkers, kind of, not really, but kind of. I'm able to have this good, fun relationship with people and be able to collab with anybody that I want to in the world and make good relationships with people if I'm making videos about people. Same with photography in that type of sense. And of course, I'm able to learn new information constantly with any type of video that I want to do. The options are vast, the ideas are vast, and personally, I'm a creative guy and I love creating ideas. So that's really how I would answer the question. And I just want to say thank you to Ed for having me and the entire building department. And thank you, John, for allowing Ed to have me. Sorry for saying that your picture looks like a mugshot, but please take me up on the offer for retaking your picture. I am serious. And I also want to say thank you to my professor, Professor Singleton. This project is something that I never knew that I really wanted to do. It helped. It really did help. I just enjoyed it a lot. I got to learn a lot. I got to learn about myself a lot. I got to do things that I enjoy and have a reason to do them, and really to push myself to go out there and make things and do things that I wanted to do, like exploring jobs and making a video essay type of video. So I really want to thank you. The field notes were fun. Everything about this project was fun. Will I fail your final? Possibly, but at least I feel like I'll do well on this. Thank you. And really, if you want to check out the podcast or my field notes, I'll have the field notes in the description of this video, and I'll have the unlisted video to the podcast in the description as well. Thank you. See you. You're sitting there as a high school, almost college, bro, you're sitting there as a high school, almost college student wondering, what the heck am I going to do in the future? That is personally something that I've always battled with. My bad. I'm sorry.